Hi everyone, it's Helen, and today I have a question to ask you. Is Hollywood imploding? I know, it's a tough question to ask, but let's just examine it a little bit in this week's video. And yes, I do have my 3D classes to help me out and prove my point. So basically, this last decade, and especially the last few years, have been built on a dependence on gigantic blockbusters, nearly all of which are sequels or remakes or just part of any franchise in particular. And the hits that are original stories will probably get a sequel at some point. But if this past summer, aka the summer of 2016, has taught us anything, this is a very thin bubble, and it's a bubble that's very close to bursting. So what does this mean for the future of Hollywood? Put in practical terms, they're going to have to soften the amount of money that they spend on films, or they're going to at least have to find other ways to spend it other than putting it into franchise blockbusters. So let's talk a little bit about summer 2016. Of the many movies that could be considered tentpoles, there were a lot of them. Only a few actually managed to recoup their budgets, domestically anyways. Captain America did well, obviously Finding Dory did well, Secret Life of Pets did surprisingly well, maybe? But overall it's been kind of a disappointing summer box office wise. And this can be brought down to two very different but very important reasons. First, on the economic side of things, and we have to talk about this because movie studios listen to money, the market was just way too crowded this summer for movies. Unlike in past summer where there were maybe 3 or 4 big gigantic hits, there was a tentpole movie every single weekend this summer, and the market just could not support it. If you think of movies like Jason Bourne or Star Trek that cost $150 million to make and opened to $50–60 million, that's not good for a studio. When one movie opens big, the next weekend it'll drop off significantly because there is another tentpole movie that comes in to fill that vacuum and to take that market share, and so on and so forth, and these big giant movies just do not have the opportunity to make up their budgets. So economically, this is not a model that can be sustainable. Second, if we're going to talk on the creative side, the movies that were released this summer just weren't that good. Word of mouth for a lot of these movies, including things like Independence Day 2 and Ben-Hur, was not very good, and audiences heard about these bad reviews and smartly, I might add, decided not to spend all of their money on them, which, good for you. Good. We as an audience want something that is new and great, and when the product that you're giving us is old and bad, there is a problem with that. Now, I've heard people say that Hollywood just needs to fix this problem by spreading the release dates of these tentpole movies over the years. They just can't be crowded into summer, that way they'll have more time to earn back their budgets. Well, I've got news for you. They are doing that, and it's not going to work. I'm including a link to the schedule for what's coming out in 2018, but it's way too crowded. Everything is coming out all year round, some even on the same day, and this same effect that happened this past summer is just going to happen all year round. So this problem is not going to be fixed by doing that, it's actually going to get worse. None of these movies are going to succeed because they're going to keep eating up their market share. Now, if you look back in the history of filmmaking, there are a lot of similarities to things that went down in the 60s. Think about it. Hollywood was making these big budget epics like Cleopatra that weren't very good. They were marketing things like 3D and widescreen, similar to how we market 3D and IMAX now. This is not a new phenomenon in Hollywood. This has happened before, and clearly you're not learning from it. Basically what happened then is it imploded, and it almost nearly had to start from scratch. Granted, one major difference this time is that we don't have the production code to go by at this point. But you can see a little bit of a similar problem with ratings. I mean, the go-to rating right now is PG and PG-13. And if you think about it, that's kind of a production code to stick to. You don't want to go too far G, you don't want to go too far R. Or NC-17, really, you really don't. Short answer, Hollywood needs to change its business model, and it needs to change it very quickly, or it's going to be reaping the consequences. Now, I have a couple of suggestions, I will call them, that might help with this problem. First, we need to bring back the mid-budget movie, which has basically been dead for the last 2 years, and you need to make mid-budget original movies. You gasp, but hear me out. Yes, these films are very risky, but look at the $150 million and $200 million franchise movies that have been flopping all over the place this summer. Hollywood, listen to me on this. If you make a $50 million original movie, audiences will be intrigued, they will pay to see it, and you risk running a smaller loss. Just saying. Secondly, and I have to make this point because I am a feminist, hire outside the box. For goodness sakes, please. This past year especially, Hollywood has taken substantial flack for its underrepresentation of women, of minorities, of the LGBTQIA+ community, both on screen and behind the camera. And the public, myself included, is so freaking sick of it. If female-driven films that have come out in the last couple of years have proven anything to you at all, it's that they can make money. Pitch Perfect 2, anyone? There is such untapped talent here. You need to be able to utilize it if you want to rectify this problem. And if this summer is any indication, clearly your franchise hits from straight white men seem to be faltering a little bit. I'm just saying. Your audience will pay to see themselves properly represented on screen and off in movies that can stand by themselves without sequels. I'm not sure why you haven't caught on to this yet, but please consider this your call to action. In conclusion, the business and creative model that Hollywood has been following won't be able to sustain itself for much longer. A few things actually, need to change, and it's going to happen very soon. And that's all I have to say on that subject. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am wearing my writer shirt, as I do when I talk about film, because I am a screenwriter. And some other stuff that I've been working on this past week. The first installment of my Forgotten Gems series on Return to Neverland has been posted to DTP, etc. Next week's movie is Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which I just saw recently again, and I'm so excited to talk about it with you guys. My reading challenge has actually been going pretty well this week. It was a pretty light week. I managed to get 50 more pages of Sense and Sensibility done. Hopefully I'll be able to get some more done this weekend. If you liked this video and you want to see more of my content, you can subscribe here on my main channel for new content every single Sunday. You can subscribe to my vlog channel for more behind the scenes stuff. If you want to see what I get up to when I'm not filming these videos, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Tumblr, and of course on DDP, etc. Speaking of Spotify, I've just been listening to Daya's new album, which just came out this past weekend. I highly recommend you listen to it. Also, I am seeing Ingrid Michaelson in concert tonight, and I have been listening to so many of her albums this past week, and she is just fantastic. I cannot wait to see her live. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to keep living awesome lives, and I will see you very soon. Bye.